0. Welcome everybody to another edition of the Ed
It's on.
We're live on Facebook with John Cataldo, winner of the primary award 8. So how cool this guy is right here, huh? He loses Ward 8, the first guest he brings on, Cataldo. It's all about winning. It's all about putting together a good team. And that's what Ed's all about. Good job, Ed.
All right.
So we're on live, and we'll be on live on Channel 23, 8 p.m. Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Sunday nights, 8 p.m. So it repeats a couple times. Of course, if you're on here, share it to us. Share it as best you can, and we're ready to go. John Cataldo, Ward 8, Alderman, won the primary. Will be joining us very shortly to discuss anything. Anybody wants to call, feel free to call the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's the. It's
ready?
on. We're ready. All right. That's Lisa.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. You know the deal. You're no stranger here.
We're not on TV.
Not just yet. Any second now.
Is it a red light?
Okay, here we go.
All
10
right.
seconds.
10 seconds. Here we go. They gave us a new opening. I like it.
5 seconds.
All right.
4, 3, 2.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Ed and Joe Show. My host on my left, Ed Sapienza, and we have a guest tonight. We have 2 guests tonight. 2 you don't want to miss. Ward 8, primary winner of the Aldermanic race, John Cataldo. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for
And at
having
8:30, we have Lisa Freeman to discuss her race against Sanctuary City Lover Staub, and also discuss the shenanigans that went on at the school board Monday night. And of course, as we know, never boring. Still don't have my doctor's note. So, welcome everybody. Welcome, John. Thank you for coming on the show. Congratulations on your victory. You came out of nowhere. Nobody knew who you were that I know of. I don't know if you'll tell us all about how long you lived in Manchester, Ward 8, and what got you in the race. I guess we can start with those 3 things.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, really, and Ed. Thank you very much. I think you put on a great race, and you were inspirational. You brought out the best in your supporters,
right.
and I mean that. So thanks
All
for
right.
having me on.
Yeah.
And you brought up some great issues too. I think some ones we need to focus on. But a little bit about myself. I grew up in Goffstown, but I went to school here in Manchester. And growing up, living in Goffstown and going to school in Manchester, I was always proud to say that I went to school in the big city, and so my love for this city goes far back. And then when I was in high school, my parents moved us here to Ward 8, in fact, to the Phillips Glen development, and lived there through high school and college. And then after college, I did a year of volunteer work through the Jesuit Volunteer Corps.
Oh, really?
And
Yeah.
that was, it was a great experience. It was the right time for me to do it right after college, get out and travel and see and learn a culture that I was interested in, and do some service work. So I was on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation in Ashland, Montana.
Wow.
And I worked at in a dormitory at a school there for the Northern Cheyenne and Crow students. So that was a great experience.
You majored in biology.
Yes. So
You're no dummy over here.
yeah, I should mention that I went to St. Anselm College. I stayed local for college, majored in biology, and when I came back, I ended up falling in love with homebrewing, and said to myself, "Hey, I got this biology degree, and I can do this for a living. I can go work at a brewery and put my degree to use." And so that's what I did. And at first, I worked at Harpoon, both in Vermont and Boston, and then an opportunity came up to move my job back here to Manchester, which I was very excited about because, again, I love Manchester and I wanted to be working and living in Manchester. So now I work as quality control manager at Great North Ale Works on Holt Ave. And
What are some of the products that? Great. I am not. I don't drink a lot of the. I know there's a new world out there with all these IPAs and
Microbreweries.
I drink Bud Light, and I don't drink very much at all. So I think Sam Adams was a big deal when it first came out. And
Yeah, absolutely.
I know that
Trailblazer.
these beers are just selling like crazy. So what kind of is it? Just that the name of the beer, or is there more products
yes, so
that everyone would know? Like I don't know.
Yeah, we probably our most popular one is our IPA, and that's easily the most popular style right now in brewing, in the beer industry amongst craft beer drinkers. And we actually won silver medal at the World Beer Cup for our IPA. So some people may know that one. It's simply Great North IPA, but we also have a variety of other styles that we brew year-round and seasonally. We have our tie-dyed pale ale, we have a vanilla porter, we have a smoked beer, we have a whole range of beers.
Fancy smancy,
One for
stuff,
anyone.
And
Yeah.
do they sell like crazy? I mean, what's the sales of your business? Per
Yeah, we're doing great.
Is it over $1 million? Is there $1 million in sales? Or?
I can't say the exact number. That's not necessarily my department, but
Right.
what I do know is we are continually expanding. We're currently expanding.
You're local in Manchester
Yes, we are,
at the
yeah.
Strange Brew, which so they have 100 beers on tap over there.
Strange Brew was one of the first locations, and that was near and dear to all of our hearts because we all love Strange Brew. They were sort of the first here in
Yeah.
Manchester to really,
For real.
promote the craft beer industry. So
So you have some private sector experience.
yes, yeah,
Right.
yeah. I mean, pretty normal guy. Working hard like everybody else.
Married,
40 hours
children?
a week. Yep, married. I got two little girls, Olivia and Caroline, and my wife Gabby. We met right before college. We both went to St. A. She's a nurse, and so we're just enjoying Manchester. We love Ward 8. We're really happy where we live. We take our girls down to the fields at Memorial, and they run around, and it's just a terrific ward to live in.
And so you decided to toss your hat into the ring for Ward 8 Alderman. This was your first time out.
Yep.
And you've been hitting it hard. You've been talking with the folks, going door to door.
Yes.
And what have you been hearing from the folks? What have they been telling you?
The biggest thing anybody can do is go door to door in races like this. And it's the most important thing because you get the opportunity to meet your people that you want to represent face to face and hear their issues. And so I've made that my top priority. I started door knocking in early June, and going out just about every weekend I possibly can, and weeknights. And the biggest issues I'm hearing are the tax cap, keeping spending under control, responsible spending, and crime and the opioid crisis, and they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah. The opioid crisis to me falls into crime, but when you say tax cap, people were advocating for it. They're
That's
in
correct.
favor, as you are.
Yes, thank you
Right?
for, yep.
Okay.
So let me. So what's your political fundamentals, foundation, and so how do you get involved in politics? Like, I mean, you just can wake up one day and say, okay, it's all about the tax cap,
Yeah.
or it's all about the shenanigans going on at City Hall. I mean, did you grow up in a family of Republicans, Democrats, Independents? Is Reagan an inspiration? I mean, St. A's is a very
Yeah.
big. They have one of the greatest political starting points. It's the first in the nation. Everybody goes there. All major debates are at. So I don't know, like, how do you get involved in that at such a young age, or want to get involved? I got dragged in by Wazoric. I never thought I wanted to be an alderman, but there was one issue that was important, and that was the Civic Center. So what gets you to say, okay, I'm going to go work at City Hall if I'm fortunate enough to get elected? It's a big deal to do that. So
Yeah, I think where it came from was I grew up in a family where we were encouraged to volunteer, to do service work. The schools I went to encouraged that, and to give back. And so that also means civic engagement is included in that, and doing your part as a citizen to get involved. And so that's always something that's been instilled in me. And what really brought it out was I just felt like in our ward especially, we weren't being well represented in City Hall. We needed somebody who was going to be more present and accountable and listen to the voters, and just be more active and involved. With
Yeah.
getting-
John, I also went door to door in Ward 8, and what I heard quite often from the folks was, hey, get off my property. No, I'm just kidding. But
no, people are pretty nice. Huh?
yeah, people are nice.
Actually,
Yeah.
they're a lot better than
They are.
most people. It's intimidating, of course, when you first go. But I have a lot of friends in Ward 8 that come down to Theo's, and I think it was probably very early June, maybe even late May, that they told me that you had come to their home with your family to talk to people door to door.
Sure.
So is that how early you started?
Yes. I was first weekend in June. I was out because, like I said, I work 40 hours a week, and my wife is a nurse, so she works nights and weekends rotating. So I knew I needed to get started early so that I could get into the amount of doors that I wanted to hit, which is essentially I would love to hit every single door in the ward if I could. So I'm working towards that goal, and so there were some times that my wife was working, and if I wanted to get out, I brought the girls with me,
Right.
and that was fun because my daughter Olivia, the oldest, she wanted to hand out the cards. That was her big
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
She wanted to be the one, when they answered, give me the card, let me hand it to them, and that kind of caused some confusion. I think they thought we were trying to fundraise for a school, but no, it was great. It was good interaction.
Did you find yourself a lot of times, I was in like total agreement with the people I was talking to, like it would veer off into national and even international stuff, and their gripes were my gripes, you know? I mean,
Yes.
they're telling me how upset they are, how actually pissed off they are, and like, I feel the same way.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah, and that's another motivating factor for me to throw my hat in the ring. Was I've started to just get fed up with what I was seeing, and I wanted to do my part. I felt like I could get in there and represent us well.
I'd like to know about the Cherokee Reservation. What organization did you? So obviously
so
it's
that
a
was on the-
Manchester-based organization or statewide.
This particular organization is countrywide, and it was where I was placed was on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation in
So
Ashland,
there's a
Montana.
reservation in Cheyenne. And how many I guess Native Americans are on that reservation? I bet we could have an hour just on that.
Yeah,
Probably, yeah.
Really
yeah, I could.
interested
I
in
mean, I
this.
had a great experience, and I have friendships to this day, so I could talk a lot about that.
Right.
But
But how many? Just
well, the town I was in,
It's a
Ashland,
town.
Yeah, it was a
Okay.
town of 500 people.
okay.
And I lived with, but there were more than that on the reservation, so that was just the town. There was, I think, maybe, I don't know off the top of my head exactly, but it was, a few thousand people. And I had roommates who were also part of the same program, and they were just doing other jobs in the community. And like I said, my particular role was as a mentor and a tutor at this dorm for the kids when they got out of school. But it also gave us the opportunity to do some outreach within the community, meet the elders. They taught us their culture. We got opportunities to go to powwows, to go to sweats, and learn some of their songs. And it was just really
So they have
special.
a lot of them have kept their original culture.
Absolutely. They're very proud people. It reminds me of those of us here in Manchester. We're very proud of where we are and where we live. And,
Right. Where we come from, our
Yes.
background, the
Background,
mills,
the
the pictures.
history,
Yeah.
yeah.
But they're actually. I mean, I could go on that. Now, how are they living on a reservation? Does that mean they're locked in a wire fence, or
No, no.
it's so amazing that we have the word reservation in
Right.
America. That it's. So what is that? What's the right? They have their own land with their own laws and their own rules, or
Yeah, they do. They have their own reservation police, you could call it, but they do still have to abide by the same federal laws and things like that.
Did you live on the reservation?
Technically, the town was just off the border.
Okay.
I mean, I could
Yeah.
walk out my front door and be on the reservation.
But you didn't live in the reservation.
No,
Okay.
no.
So you did that for 1 year. Did you get paid for that?
It's just a very small
Stipend, just to get
it was
by.
$80 a month.
wow, $80 a month?
Yes,
Oh,
yeah,
my
we had,
goodness.
and part of the group, the Jesuit Volunteer Corps, is one of the pillars is community. So we had individual stipends of $80 a month, and then as a house, we had a monthly stipend of, I can't remember, I want to say it was $800. So then between the 7 of us, we had to figure out how we were going to divvy
Wow.
that up for groceries and things like that. And so we got creative. I mean, just off the reservation, there was an Amish community. And that was neat because, again, there was another experience, and they had a store there where they got dry goods from grocery stores that were expired, but not really. They were just past their best by date, and they were super cheap. So that was a way we saved money by going to that store to buy that food. Or even actually something interesting was like the water. We didn't want to drink the water from our tap. Some of the best water was 10 miles away that we used to drive to with huge Poland Spring jugs. And literally from a spring out of the ground, we'd fill up our jug. And we
Yeah.
weren't the only ones. There was people from all over the reservation coming to fill up their water that way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
John,
Cool
I want to
experience.
ask you about St. A's when you went to school, and this
Yeah.
may be somewhat off the subject, but on the one hand, is St. A's a conservative institution, or is it more liberal? Because on the one hand, it's a Catholic college, okay?
Yeah, and people
On the other
get-
hand, it's a bunch of youngsters, and it's a college. So what's the deal over there, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, and people get confused because
Right.
they hear it's a liberal arts college, but that doesn't have anything to do with the political party liberal, right?
Right,
So
it's- yeah, okay.
it's a Catholic Benedictine liberal arts college, is I believe how they describe it, and so It's a mix. I mean, you're
It's a
right.
mix,
It's a
yeah.
college. It's filled with young kids
Yeah.
who tend to be more liberal, but it's also a Catholic school, so you do get that conservative.
Yeah, so I mean, the staff isn't over there filling these kids' heads with mush like they are in a lot of other.
I never experienced.
Okay, all right.
The
Just out of
brainwashing
curiosity.
that you might,
Yeah.
you hear
Berkeley.
about.
Yeah,
on-
Berkeley's a different animal. California's a different animal.
UNH.
If those of you are just tuning in, John Cataldo, Ward 8, won primary facing Betsy DeVries, former alderman from, I think, 10 years ago, former firefighter. Not sure if she's still on disability. I know she was on disability for at least 20-something years. Not sure if she's still collecting or not, but she wants to get back in to City Hall. Of course, John is hoping to get that elected position. Tax cap, no override.
No override.
John, you're an advocate of the tax cap, right?
Yes.
What do you say to someone who says, "Well, listen, you got these contracts coming up. You got to pay the employees. They're putting their lives on the line, and all this." How do you answer that?
I think it comes down to allocation. Where is that money being allocated, and is it being spent in the right place?
Yager-Decker pay scale. Do you have anything to say on that?
Yager-Decker pay scale. I'm against it. I would like to see it
You
gone.
think that, well,
I
it's a
think-
merit system, so you're supposed to get, supposed to have an evaluation. What
Yeah,
we find
so-
out 16 years straight, no
Right,
evaluation,
so here's
you
what
show
I
up and get a
say.
3.
Here's what I say. In an ideal world,
Yeah.
it would be great. We'd follow it to the letter of the law, to the intent. But that hasn't proven to be true. It's been
Complete violation
complete
of the original
violation.
intent.
So
Correct.
unfortunately, our hands are tied at this point. I think we need to move on from it because it's
Reform,
just-
reduce, or eliminate it? Would that be a way of putting it?
Yes.
There are documents floating around that said that it is within the purview of the alderman. It's not a contractual issue like many people think, so we're going to have to take a very good close look at it. Of course, the new board coming on will definitely be doing that. Smoking in the parks, are you for the ban or are you against the ban? On certain grounds of individual freedom or health and risk of other people who are actually there?
Sure. I'm in favor of the ban. I think that it does pose. It's difficult because I am an individual liberties guy. I too tend to have a more conservative view on when I approach issues.
So smoke in your own home.
But yeah, but it's a public park.
Right.
It's kids are there. It's a health issue.
Yeah.
It's a littering issue. We want to encourage people to use the parks.
Right.
And that just discourages people from using the parks. And we want to let the cops do their job. I mean, the cops, Chief Willard, Assistant Chief Capano came to the board because it was an issue they were trying to solve. This was their solution, and I think we needed to back them on that.
Well, we must note that Betsy DeVries against this because only you can prevent forest fires, and one little butt can start a whole thing. So she can come on if she wants, right? We
Sure.
invite to everybody, by the
Betsy,
way.
you're welcome. Give me a call. We'll have you on.
I mean, as far as issues go, I mean, what do people do? First of all, people most likely, when you knock on the door, they say, "Hi, here's my stuff," and they go, "Thank you, I'll read it." How many, but there must be some people that ask questions.
Yes, they
If
do.
you run into Joe Dutile up on Mammoth Road and you knock on his door, he's going to ask you questions.
Yeah.
There are certain people out there, Mrs. Paradise, you're going to ask you questions. So what do people talk to you, or do they just want to have their opinion heard and they don't care what you have to say about it?
The tax cap is a consistent issue that comes up. People are fed up with the constant override of the tax cap, and I think that's fair of them to say because the voters voted for it, and when the aldermen continue to override it, they're breaking faith with the voters who voted for it.
Unless it was for an emergency. The
Unless
roof
it was
caved in
for
at Central
sure,
or whatever.
absolutely.
Okay.
And I said this the other day on another show that I was asked to clarify on Richard Rod's show. If a natural disaster of the likes of Irma or something happened,
Right,
to
you never say
Manchester,
never.
Never say
Yeah,
never.
right,
You
right.
got to spend the money to support the fire.
But it really is just a choice by 10 aldermen. 10 aldermen decide they want to override the mayor's veto. Any mayor who's in there only needs 8 votes. You only need 8 votes. So if they want to override the mayor has the right to override. So it's the same as it always has been. I know a lot of people, it's just the letter of the word. The words are basically set. Listen, this is the consumer price index, and that's where the line is drawn. It doesn't say that they can't do it, right? It doesn't. So when you hear that story about we got to get rid of the tax cap and it's really bad for the city, it really comes down to personal preference from the individual
Yeah.
that's elected.
It's a great guide. It's a great
Right.
place to start. And I think it should be followed for sure,
Right.
in my opinion. But that's what I would say to somebody who wants to get rid of it. I said, well, where do we start? I mean, this is an opportunity. This gives the mayor an opportunity to find a place to start with his budget or her budget. And so, the other thing that comes up a lot when I meet voters is they want fresh faces in City Hall. They're really sick of the same old faces on the board of aldermen, and I feel obviously I can bring that. I'm sorry,
But it seems like I've been around forever. But this is only my fourth term.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm just saying.
No,
what
no,
I
I
hear.
understand.
I go door to door.
But don't they just say, but except for Lavasser? I mean, he's
They
so
do.
cool.
They
He's
do.
such a fighter. He's
Yeah.
right there with all
Exactly
the
what
cool
they
people.
say.
Yeah, they don't include
No,
the
just
at-large.
anybody out.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
conflict of interest has been in the news.
I can see O'Neill. He's been here 24 years, and he's getting another free ride.
Quite a bit. Conflict of interest. Do you have any input on that? Do you have any
Yes.
family
absolutely.
members
I've been
yourself?
asked that. People have reached
Yeah,
out to
go.
me on
Yep.
Facebook. I actually listened to your answer, and I had the same one, which is there's got to be a mechanism that just prevents it from even happening.
Oh, okay. Originally, like in other words, if you had a clear conflict of
Yes.
interest, you would not be allowed to cast a vote.
Exactly.
And I present that as a topic of discussion. It's certainly something we can talk about.
Yes, something we can talk about.
Rather than, okay, this guy's voting and let's deal with this and let's have the whole rigmarole.
Yeah.
I thought Ludwig was brilliant. He comes back 2 years later after voting for I think his first time was for his wife's, for a contract where his wife is actually an employee. I don't know if she got a raise or not. And then the second one when it was a fireman's contract. And then about a month later, he comes in and says, well, you're the alderman. You aldermen have to vote whether I can vote or not.
Yeah. Oh, I
It doesn't
see.
say that in the charter. It doesn't say, well, you are not allowed to vote for your sibling or your wife or your children's raises unless you get the, or there's another paragraph that says, unless the aldermen say you can.
Right.
So it's kind of really, there's a lot of interpretations that people want to make, but I have to, the city solicitors ruled twice. It is a conflict, and you violated it when you voted for your kids or your wife's raise. It's just that simple. And there is a simple thing called plain meaning of the language, and then that's what the courts will
Yeah.
use. So nobody's tested it over at the court yet. I think that may be the next step because there's really nothing you can do to these guys. So the only way you can stop it is if the court rules that the contract that was voted on has to be thrown out because it was illegitimately gotten. So that may be the only other step we have because you're not going to get a charter change. And I love this thing, right? We're going to have a charter commission. So the charter commission is going to get together, and generally speaking,
Every
you
10
get
years.
I think you get 7 people on the
9
board.
or 10.
9, right?
Yeah.
9, right? So if
Okay,
you have a
right.
5-4 and it's the liberals grab it, they change the language to make it so you can. It'll never pass. So
Right,
the city
it
wouldn't
goes
vote
nowhere.
for
It
it.
goes
So it's not going to
nowhere.
go
Yeah,
anywhere.
it
So
goes
one
nowhere.
issue can kill a whole charter.
Yeah, poison pill.
I just said we should just put it out to the ballot that says sitting aldermen may vote for their wife's, daughter's, sons'
Yeah.
contracts. How do you think that would go in the
Let
city
people
manager?
decide.
Yeah, it wouldn't go well. It would be like Irma crashing that piece of paper and taking it out to sea. But still, that's as simple as you can get
Right.
with the language that you would write because it's that simple of an issue. Can I vote
And you
as
have
a
to
sitting alderman
define
for my
immediate
son
family and-
who's on the waterworks salary? Now, his brother, who's Alderman in 5, said, I'm abstaining
Took
because
about
it's a
7
violation
seconds.
of the
Yeah,
charter.
watch
7
that.
seconds.
And that
took
was it.
about. That was it.
That was
Done.
his answer. And that was
That was
about
it.
as clean and clear as you
Clear
can
cut,
get.
yeah.
And we would, you would think that the others would follow. But, I saw Jamie Burkish on one of his things said, they haven't really given us a determination yet, but they have. But he says the courts haven't weighed in on it, so he's not sure what it means. So they're interpreting it the way they feel like they should interpret it, or what they're told they should reinterpret instead of what it's actually being written. So we're going to have this battle over and over again. I can tell you.
John, we're getting down to the last few minutes here of the segment. Do you want to talk about sanctuary city / law and order just a bit? I mean, are you in? What should?
Yeah.
I think I know what it is.
Well,
but
if you
go
want a
ahead.
sanctuary city, I just want you to know we want it in your ward. Just
No,
one ward.
No, I am 100% against that.
Okay.
I think it's ridiculous. I mean,
Okay.
it's against federal law. I mean,
Okay.
how can you?
Yeah.
It's law and order, like you said.
And you believe in cooperating? I mean, we border Londonderry, we border Litchfield. Do you believe in cooperating with Litchfield and the FBI and all law enforcement agencies, be it North Dakota,
Yes.
Minnesota, whatever? All the good guys should be on the same sheet of music.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
that's all right.
Absolutely. I mean, it's about the criminals. I mean, we're not talking about your citizen, your illegal immigrants,
legal immigrant, yeah.
who are here, not causing trouble. We're talking about these are criminals who committed heinous crimes.
Kate Steiner.
How can you protect them?
I don't know.
It's
You,
awful.
you wouldn't protect somebody who was your own citizen, right? They put it on a wanted poster at the
here's
port,
the test.
over at the
Here's-
post
here's-
office, so
here's-
why are you gonna do it for somebody from
This is
another
the- This
country?
is the litmus test I always use. I mean, put yourself in those shoes, right?
Right.
It's simple to say, but
Yeah.
put yourself in the shoes of Kate's parents.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you do if that was your son
Oh,
or daughter?
I can't
It
imagine.
wouldn't matter to me if they were illegal or not. I would want
Right.
justice,
It's
no
about
matter
the law.
whether they're
Right.
illegal
Whether they're
or
legal.
whether they're American citizens.
It's a crime.
And I think
Yeah.
people need to put that into perspective. Listen, we want to thank you for coming on. We have Lisa Freeman coming up. Just one word of thing. Jamie Burkish was accused of taking $17,000 today from unions, all 5 unions. But somehow the city clerks had attached a document to his report, and it came out that it was a clerical error. He only has raised $1,600. So please, we wanted to clear that up. I know people were going absolutely bonkers on the poor guy, and I just said, "Wow, he got $17,000." I was like, "How do you ever lose a race when you raise 17?" I've never
Yeah.
raised 17,000. I don't
No,
think I've
that
raised
was- that was
17,000
And
in
if I
5
could just
races.
mention real quick, I've got a Facebook site.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what you were
John,
ready to
before,
do.
before you sign off here, we're going to give you a second to sign off. I want to say that the good folks of Ward 8 should take a good hard look at this young man. He's got a lot to offer. And
Obviously,
certainly
yes.
take a good hard look at what he's about.
Thank you.
And think long and hard about your decision.
If you
on
want a
voting
fresh
today.
face, here we go. I mean,
So-
DeVries isn't, I mean, she's not a fresh face. She's been there quite often for so many times. But you can tell everybody how they can
How do you-
contact you. There's your camera, your Facebook page, everything they want to know about you. Go ahead and take the
Yeah.
camera for
So,
yourself.
please, I hope to get your vote on November 7th. And my Facebook page is facebook.com/Cataldo for Alderman, or you can email me at cataldoforalderman@gmail.com. And I look forward to meeting all of you at some point in person.
And
all right.
phone number, if they want to call you.
Sure, absolutely. 603-493-9201.
We really could use his help on the board. If you're voting for Joyce Craig, you know what, you guys can give me an aldermanic board. I'd appreciate it, so that there's a check and balance in that on that board. We cannot let we can't let it go further awry than it already is. And of course, I go door to door. I go right to Craig's doors and knock on the door, and I say, "Listen, you're voting for Craig? Give me Cataldo. I need a check and balance." And you sound like a really nice gentleman, and I think the city would be and Ward 8 would be in very good shape with you in there, especially with the guy that's in there and leaving now.
Yeah.
So.
Thanks a lot, John Cataldo.
Thank you,
Folks, we'll be
John.
back in 37 seconds with Lisa Freeman.
And
Don't
that,
go away.
And that won't be boring. So we're still on live right now with Facebook. We're not tuning out on Facebook.
Thank you.
Good job, young man.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right, man.
Give him
We'll see
hell.
you soon.
All right.
I'll be
Yeah.
out ward walking with
All
you
right.
soon. I wish I would have been able to go with you Sunday.
John's the best.